The book costs $4. A water-damaged paperback from an estate sale in Connecticut, printed in 1961, written by a man whose name you've never heard of and whose descendants still hold land in 4 states. You find it at the back of a folding table between a cracked picture frame and a fondue set. The title is unremarkable. The first page stops you cold. Capital is not earned, it is preserved. Everything else is noise. You are 27. You have $18,000 in savings and the distinct feeling that you are doing everything right and going nowhere. You make $74,000. You have a Roth IRA. You track your spending in an app that sends you little color charts you study like they mean something. You are educated about money in the way people in 2026 are educated about money through reels and threads and 7-part series posted by men with ring lights. And yet, the number in your account moves like weather. Up in the good months, down when the car needs something, or you fly home for Christmas, or the subscription you forgot about renews. You read the book in a single, sitting in your car in the parking lot of a Goodwill, in a suburb of a city you moved to, because the rent was slightly less catastrophic. The rules are not complicated. They are not new. They are the exact opposite of everything the algorithm has been selling you since you got your first paycheck. Old Money Rule 1. Never touch the principal. You have been told to invest. You have not been told what investing actually means to the people who have been doing it for 4 generations. It does not mean riding a bull market. It does not mean timing anything. It means identifying the pool of capital you will never spend, not in an emergency, not in an opportunity, not when the market drops and your stomach drops with it, and treating that pool the way old families treat land. You do not sell the land. You sell what the land produces. You sit with this for a week. You do the math on your $18,000. You decide $10,000 of it is land. You open a brokerage account and move it there, and then you do something you've never done with money before. You stop watching it. The first month is uncomfortable. The second month is less so. By the third month, you understand something the book was trying to tell you. Compounding requires you to look away. The anxiety of watching is what breaks the chain. The shift. You stop measuring what you have. You start measuring what you've committed never to touch. You begin to notice what the old money rules say about spending, and you feel, for the first time in your adult life, genuinely embarrassed. Not about how much you spend, about what you spend it on. The book does not say live cheaply. It says spend deliberately, on things that hold, on things that last, on things that do not require replacement. The difference between a $40 shirt that becomes a cleaning rag in 2 years and a $160 shirt that becomes something you wear to a meeting when you are 45 is not $120. It is the compounding gap between what you spent and what you would have kept. You stop buying. Not everything, but you stop buying. The reflex purchases, the trending thing, the upgrade cycle, the version 2 of a version 1 that still works. You wait. Old money waits, not because it is patient by nature, but because patience was trained into it over decades by people who understood that desire is not the same as need, and that conflating the two is how wealth disappears between generations. Your savings rate climbs without your income changing. You find this mildly shocking, and then find the shock embarrassing, because the mechanism is obvious once you stop participating in the machinery that was designed to keep you from seeing it. Old Money Rule 2. Your income is not your identity. In 2026, everyone is performing their earnings. The car, the apartment, the vacation, the restaurant, all of it broadcast, curated, indexed for the approval of people who are performing the same thing back at you. You have been doing this. You did not know you were doing this. You thought you were just living. You start to see the performance. The work colleague who bought a BMW on a $91,000 salary and talks about the monthly payment the way other people talk about their rent with a kind of resigned pride. The suffering as evidence of taste. The friend who moves to a neighborhood she cannot afford and refers to it as an investment in herself. The entire vocabulary built to turn liabilities into virtues. Treating yourself. Living your best life. You only live once. You drive the same car. It is 7 years old. It runs. You stop apologizing for it. Something strange begins to happen socially. People in certain rooms start taking you more seriously, not because you have demonstrated wealth, but because you have stopped demonstrating need. There is a composure to someone who is not performing. People mistake it for confidence. They are not entirely wrong. What it actually is, the absence of the low-frequency anxiety that comes from spending ahead of your position. You have nothing to maintain. The armor is lighter. The shift. You stop spending to signal status. You start spending to acquire permanence. You are 30. Your principal is $41,000. Your income is $88,000. You have begun consulting on weekends, not aggressively, not with a brand or a funnel, but with 2 clients referred by someone you helped once without charging. The old money rule on this is clear. Your reputation precedes your invoice. You do not market yourself. You do not post about what you do. You deliver, and you let the delivery speak, and you wait. A 3rd client calls, then a 4th. You do not tell people at your day job, not because you are afraid of them, because the book is explicit. Money discussed is money diluted. The moment you tell someone what you're building, you trade the energy of building it for the temporary dopamine of being seen building it. Old money families held assets for generations without press releases. There is wisdom in the quiet. Your consulting income hits $3,200 a month. You move it directly into principal. You do not upgrade your life. Your principal is now $62,000. You are 31. You can feel the weight of it differently than when it was $18,000, not because the number is larger, but because you have never spent it, have never even seriously considered spending it. And the discipline itself has become structural. A habit so ingrained, it no longer costs you anything to maintain. Old money rule 3. Protect your name more carefully than your capital. This is the rule that takes the longest to understand, because in 2026, the name has been replaced by the brand, and the brand is a performance, and the performance is measured in engagement, and engagement is the opposite of what old money actually means by the word name. A name, in the old sense, is what the room believes about you when you are not in it. It is the answer to the question, can this person be trusted with something important? It is built across years of small, correct decisions made quietly. It is destroyed in a single, loud, wrong one. You turn down a deal that would have made you $14,000 in 6 weeks because the person offering it cuts corners in ways that would attach your name to the cutting. You say no. The discomfort lasts 3 days. The clarity lasts much longer. You begin to be known, in small and specific circles, as someone who does what they say. Not impressive in the culture of 2026, where everyone has a personal mission statement and a values section on their website. Genuinely, quietly, functionally reliable. You show up. You finish. You don't exaggerate what you can do before you do it. This is remarkable enough to be remarkable. An introduction is made. Someone who manages assets for a family office mentions you to a colleague. The colleague has a problem. You solve it. The fee is $22,000. You have never invoiced that number before. You do not negotiate it down out of discomfort. You hold the number. They pay it. The shift. The reputation begins to earn on its own. The name starts compounding. You are 34. Your principal has never been touched. It is $124,000. Your consulting business generates $9,400 a month. Your day job, which you leave quietly and without spectacle on a Tuesday morning, was paying you $96,000. You leave without a LinkedIn post, without an announcement. Old money does not announce transitions. It completes them. You buy a small property. Not in the city. Not a statement. A 2-unit building in a secondary market that an algorithm would not recommend and that a content creator would not feature because it is not photogenic and the numbers are not dramatic. The cap rate is clean. The tenants pay reliably. You hold it. Old money rule 4. Time is the asset that cannot be repurchased. The rule is so simple it feels like a platitude until you feel its weight in the 4th decade of your life. Old money families did not build wealth in years. They built it in generations, which means every individual member of the chain had to be willing to plant trees they would never sit under. You begin to make decisions with a 20-year horizon. You turn down 3 opportunities that would have produced cash quickly and consumed your attention entirely. You invest instead in positions that are slow, that are boring, that will not be interesting to discuss at any dinner party you could imagine attending. You are not trying to win a conversation. You are trying to be solvent in 2046. The discipline of the long view changes what you notice. You start seeing the cycle underneath the noise, the economic rhythm that the book described, and that you can now feel in the data if you stop looking at the data too closely. You position for a slowdown before one arrives. Not because you predicted it, because your horizon is long enough that you were already holding something that would benefit. The position returns $38,000 over 14 months. You reinvest it. You do not celebrate. The old money rules do not celebrate returns. Returns are expected. Celebrations are for outcomes you are not sure you deserved. The shift. You stop measuring success in years. You start measuring it in decades. You are 38. Your principal is $340,000. You own 2 properties outright. Your business earns $180,000 a year without your full attention. You work 4 days a week, and on the 5th day, you do the kind of work that does not pay immediately and may not pay for years, the relationship, the introduction, the patient development of something that has no launch date. People your age are anxious in ways they name and don't name. The mortgage, the raise they didn't get, the market fluctuation that wiped 4 months of contributions in a week. You are not immune to the world, but you are insulated from the urgency of it. The emergency fund the internet recommends is 3 months of expenses. Yours is measured in years. You don't mention this. No one needs to know what the floor is. They only need to know you're still standing. Old money rule 5. Never let them see the count. The old money families you have studied, not the celebrities, not the tech billionaires, the actual old money, the landholding, trust administering, 3 hyphenated last name families whose wealth survived the Depression and 2 world wars, they share a single visible trait. You cannot tell, from looking at them, what they have. No visible logos, no watch that speaks before they do, no home that announces itself, not because they are modest in spirit, but because visibility is a tax. The visible rich attract the wrong attention. The pitch, the ask, the renegotiated friendship, the deal that exists only because someone thinks you have money to lose. Invisibility is protection. The book says this plainly. The display of wealth is the first expenditure of the insecure. You buy a watch. It costs $400. It is not the right brand. You wear it for 7 years. You are 41. Your net worth is $1.1 million. You know 3 people who know this number. One of them is your accountant. You do not feel like a millionaire in any version of the word that 2026 has produced. You do not feel like the videos. You feel like someone who has made 1,000 small correct decisions in a row for 14 years and is now living inside the result of those decisions, which feels less like a destination and more like a terrain. Quieter than you expected. Slower. More permanent. The algorithm still runs. It is still selling urgency. Still measuring you against men with ring lights who found a faster way. Some of them found it. Most of them are performing the finding, and the finding is the product. You have stopped watching. Not out of contempt, out of irrelevance. The performance was never aimed at someone who already had a plan. Somewhere tonight, a 27-year-old is in the parking lot of a Goodwill, holding a $4 book and reading a sentence that doesn't sound true yet. Capital is not earned, it is preserved. She will probably put it back. The algorithm will recapture her attention before she gets to the second chapter. The noise is very loud in 2026. The quiet is very far from the screen. But if she reads it, if she follows the first rule and then the second, and then sits with the discomfort of the third long enough for it to become a habit and not a posture, she will not become someone different. She will become someone with options, real ones, the kind you can't buy quickly, the kind that take the one resource old money always understood better than any generation since. Time, patience, the willingness to compound in silence. The book costs $4. The rules are free. The only thing they will cost you is the version of your